Hi, thanks for joining us for this recording of the pre-construction meeting for the Rebuild Old Boise Blocks on Grove Street upcoming construction project. My name is Jordan Neerdels and I am the Communications Manager for Capital City Development Corporation. This meeting was originally held on October 19th at 4 p.m. at the Bass Center and was attended by project team members including Carl Woods, who's the Senior Project Manager from Capital City Development Corporation, Anthony Guho, who is the project manager from Guho Corporation, as well as members of the design team. Due to a technical difficulty at the pre-construction meeting, the original first 10 minutes of this meeting were not recorded. So you are hearing me after the fact providing the talking points and updates on the first few slides. And then further on in the video, we'll pick back up with the original recording of the pre-construction meeting. So just to start, once again, my name is Jordan Neerdels. I'm the communications manager here at CCDC. CCDC is Boise's redevelopment agency, and although we are not a department of the city of Boise or work, at City Hall or under the city of Boise, we do work hand in hand with them, as well as our other agency partners like ACHD and ITD, as well as stakeholders and property developers or property owners to redevelop underutilized properties within our 6 districts and to improve public spaces. We catalyze investment in the city through our own projects, such as this Rebuild Old Boise Blocks project, as well as investments in public spaces and placemaking efforts, just like the Cherie Buckner Webb Park over on 11th Street, the Grove Plaza, and numerous other public art and placemaking efforts. We focus our work on economic development, infrastructure, placemaking, and mobility. So as I mentioned, Guho is the construction manager, general contractor for this project. CCDC hired them, and their expertise and experience navigating complex downtown construction projects is going to be absolutely invaluable on this project. And you'll hear from Anthony Guho a little later on. So we are going to talk a little bit about the project background and why now and what is the Rebuild Old Boise Blocks on Grove Street project. Carl will then go into the collection of projects that comprise this overall reconstruction effort. And then Guho will talk more about the project phasing, timeframe, scope of work, and get into the details of what you can expect during construction. You'll hear from me later on as I go over what you can expect from us as far as communication and support during construction and where you'll be able to find that information, who to call if there are issues that need to be addressed. And then we do have some ongoing questions that folks in attendance asked at the end. So a little bit about the project and the background on it. Old Boise Blocks on Grove Street is generally Capitol Boulevard to 3rd Street, and then Main Street to Front Street. That's kind of the area that we're focusing on or have been looking at. But specifically for today's meeting and this project in particular, it's going to take place along Grove Street between 3rd and 6th Streets. This area is part of one of Boise's oldest neighborhoods and has experienced several transitions over the last 150 years as Boise has grown. It has agricultural origins and originally featured open canals and water wheels all along Grove Street. Flourishing grove trees is where the name Grove Street comes from. And the neighborhood was where many of Boise's founders and prominent citizens called home. As industry grew with the new railway through downtown, a diverse neighborhood emerged where a blend of nationalities lived and worked together. In the mid-20th century, the use and popularity of automobiles gave way to a desire for paved roads and areas to park cars. So the canals were moved underground in order to pave the roadway on top. And the neighborhood did see a rise in parking lots and commercial uses. So while this area has seen significant change over the course of, it's 150 years, one common thread that we realized during research and getting to know the neighborhood more is that it is a neighborhood. It has been and continues to be a place where people want to live and experience downtown Boise together. So on your screen here, you've got some screenshots from a visioning report that CCDC conducted, I think throughout the year of 2020. I think it was almost the entire year. So we worked with adjacent property owners, neighbors, stakeholders, and the public to develop a collaborative, community-supported vision. So this became the roadmap, essentially, for the overall placemaking and reinvestment strategy in the Old Boise Blocks. So through these community conversations, we really were able to bring to light priority projects and things that the neighborhood and community at large wanted to see happen in the area. Some of these reinvestment strategies and community desires included strong support for a safe and convenient link between downtown and the eastern neighborhoods for all mobility users, bikes, peds, and cars. Celebration of the neighborhood's multicultural importance and carrying forward the values of inclusivity and cultural traditions. Investment in the deficient infrastructure and making improvements that support the reemerging of a mixed-use neighborhood. And then finally, public-private partnerships that would increase economic activity and further energize the neighborhood. So moving into this project and the project partners that we've worked with to basically create the Rebuild Old Boise Blocks on Grove Street project. We've worked with ACHD, Veolia, and City of Boise, and so through years of conversations with these project partners, CCDC has formed interagency partnerships with each of these organizations, which has enabled the agency to align our capital projects and our capital improvements with those of our partner agencies in order to make improvements along Grove Street on their behalf. This approach allows us to utilize a single contractor for the various projects, which ultimately expedites construction and limits disruption to the neighborhood. So what would have been multiple projects, as you'll hear from Carl here in just a second, we're able to collect those all under one general contractor, CMGC, in this case GUHO, and do them all at once, which reduces, again, that disruption and impact to this area of downtown. Okay, so as I have alluded to, Rebuild Old Boise Blocks on Grove Street is a collection of projects. There's actually 6 key components that make up this construction project. And Carl will go through each of these in detail, why we're doing them, what you can expect, and why it's important that these improvements get made.
The curveless, flush streetscape where it's multi-use, it's shared use, it's peds, bikes, motorists all playing together nicely. We worked with the City of Boise and ACHD. We went through some variance processes. We got approval finally to build a flush environment. And so that's a huge win. That same model will be continued down the street to 3rd Street. I think it's really a huge win for this area. Along the way, we'll have sandstone seating and benches, other elements as we go down. We're doing a new sidewalk with decorative concrete scoring and specialty accent pavers in the furnishing zones. We'll be adding new street trees planted in silvacells, which promote tree growth and longevity. And we'll be doing other new street amenities, including bike racks, trash receptacles, and street lights. We are working in partnership with Ada County Highway District. And so basically we have an agreement with them where we do the construction, they reimburse us for it. In this case, we'll be removing the existing asphalt paving, replacing with concrete paving. The concrete will reduce future road maintenance. It's going to last a lot longer than asphalt will. We're not going to have chip sealing, all that kind of stuff. A lot less headaches going forward. Asphalt helps reduce the urban heat island effect, which is a good thing these days. And one of the other things that we're doing, like you see out here at 6th Street, there's what we call a tabletop or a raised intersection, where the intersection comes up slightly compared to the adjacent roadways. So what this does is it helps slow down vehicle traffic speeds, and then we bulb out the corners, so we bring the corners, the crosswalks closer together, so there's reduced travel distances for pedestrians. So going all down Grove Street, 5th, 4th, and 3rd, we'll have those conditions to improve safety on that corridor and to the west end and into the east end as well. And another thing that's cool about this partnership is that we're doing something that the Highway District would never do if they were left to their own devices. We have the ability to do decorative concrete scoring and coloring of concrete. In this case, we're doing diamond accent paving, similar to what's on the Bass Block, is like a tip of the hat to the history down here. So a lot of cool stuff coming up with paving. We are doing, thank you. We're doing utility upgrades, the first of which is the Veolia water line replacement. That's the main line from 6th to 3rd. Anthony can talk about more of that in a minute. We're also doing, like we mentioned, the Silva-Cell technology with the trees. That's great for tree growth, but we can also dump the stormwater into them, which waters the trees, but also allows the water to percolate down, get filtered, go back into the aquifer, recharge, and keep that whole cycle going. So from a green stormwater infrastructure standpoint, that's a super cool thing. And we are adding critical linkages to the city of Boise's fiber optic network. This will help reduce the broadband costs and increase network speeds. Okay, so we are also, CCDC has some separate agreements with the Department of Arts and History, but under this project, Google and the design team will be helping coordinate the installation of a couple different art projects. One of which on the bottom of the screen are bronze inlays. They're 12-inch diameter, there's 10 of them, and they march down the street. They're set into the sidewalks. The artist that designed these is Mungo Lagoya, and what he did is he included the national flowers of different countries which have been historically present in the neighborhood. So I think it's just a really wonderful way of celebrating the history and the culture of the neighborhood. The second of which is an art installation / barrier adjacent to C.W. Moore Park water wheel. And we have the good fortune of having the artist, Bobby Zokaitis from Arizona, who's in Boise this week to meet people, check out the site, and start work on that installation. So we're really, really excited to be able to continue the tradition of public art in downtown Boise. We will be, we're working with the Boise City Canal Company. The canal company, I think it goes back to about the 1860s, where it was the Boise City ditch. It goes back to the agricultural heritage that we have. The canal is in pretty serious need of upgrades. We're going to go in and rebuild the canal from 5th to 3rd Streets, which will increase the life by about 100 years. And so similar to the image on the screen, we will take out the old failing canal and replace it with a new PVC piping system. And the canal it has a window of inactivity from October to March, and so you got to work on it when there's no water in it. And so that actually just got turned off for Carl a couple days ago, I think. Something like that. So anyway, we're getting to work on that soon. We'll have it wrapped up by spring so nobody gets all wet when they turn it back on. The last of these these sub-projects is during our outreach efforts, we worked pretty extensively with Department of Labor. You can see on the screen in the red there are 6 curb cuts that serve for vehicular circulation into the parking lot. They've been willing to get rid of those so that we have a continuous streetscape. We have a lot less of that vehicle pedestrian conflict and safety issues. And so as a part of that, we need to redirect traffic off of 3rd and 4th Street, like you see with the green arrows, to serve that parking lot, which means that we need to reconfigure the circulation within the parking lot. The Department of Labor had some maintenance and resurfacing that needed to get done at the same time. So we said, hey, let's work together. We have a builder on board. We can do this work for you. You can reimburse us. So that's a big win for the safety down in that area. And so that's the collection of projects that we are undertaking as a part of the rebuild Old Boise Blocks on Grove Street. I'll let Anthony get into more of the construction specifics.
Thanks, Carl. So running through the phasing on our project, so we're planning on starting October 30th, like Carl said. We have a limited window of time that the canal is inactive, and so now that the water's turned off, we can start reworking the canal. And so October 30th we'll start, and so our current plan is we'll start at 6th Street. In order for the canal work to happen, we have to relocate some water lines and upgrade those like Carl was talking about. And so that's a separate project that's underneath the overall project with Veolia. And so we're coordinating traffic control and phasing with them. And so they'll start upgrading the water lines at 6th and work their way towards 3rd. So for the first week on the project, we are going to be between 6th and 5th on Grove, replacing the water main. During this time or before that, we are working on reconfiguring parking lot access for the 3 parking lots south of Grove. And so currently there's a curb between the parking lots and the alley. We'll demo that curb and patch that in, so those parking lots will have access from the alley during the construction phase. So from November 6th through the 17th, the water line, there's extensive upgrades on 5th Street, and so we'll get in there and do the water line upgrades on 5th. During this time, parking lot access will remain on the south or through the alley, and then we've worked out with the apartments at CW Moore Apartments where they will come in through the alley to access their garage. So that's the next phase. So then once we're through the 5th Street intersection, 5th Street will be closed, and then we'll open 5th back up to a 1-lane travel lane. The goal is have that open back up for the first of the year when the legislature gets in, and then keep 5th Street 1 lane open on 5th until they get out, hopefully middle of April. And so during this time, we will also be working on the canal from 5th Street all the way down to 3rd. That's the map. And so we'll be doing pipe upgrades, and then the crossing at 4th Street is due to some elevations. It's a concrete structure, and so there's quite a bit of work at the canal at 4th Street. During this time also, we will be starting the upgrades of the streetscapes and the road from 6th to 5th. And so due to some scheduling and different constraints, we'll start building the road first from 6th to 5th. And so that will happen during that early December timeframe. So back to, geez, it's really got my name on.
And we're done.
So back to the January through April, that's when 5th Street will be opened 1 lane, and then work will be happening on Grove from 6th all the way to 3rd. We'll have local access to the gravel parking lot and a few of the business access on the 4th to 3rd section. There'll be local access for them to come in off of 3rd and access those parking areas. But during this time, we'll be doing the canal work and then also doing streetscape improvements. So then April 15th, or when the legislature gets out, is when we're able to close 5th Street to pave it And so like Carl was saying, the current design is all concrete paving. And so we'll come in there and excavate out the road and then place the concrete and do that from April 15th to roughly June 1st. And so we'll pour the 5th Street intersection, we'll pour Grove from 5th to 4th, and then the 4th Street intersection at that time. Once that's cured out and we're able to put traffic on it, then we will do the 4th to 3rd section and pave that. And so at this time, the gravel parking lot will have access off of 4th, and so minimal disturbance to their access throughout construction. In that June 1st time frame, everything will be done west of 4th to 6th. So starting to get back to normal, and then yeah, all wrapped up by the end of July is the plan. So we've got, am I going to the contacts? Or, so I'm the construction manager on the project. Rob Clonger is my senior superintendent. He's out hunting this week, and so he wasn't able to make it, but he will be boots on the ground. He'll start going business to business and establishing contacts and relationships and forming those lines of communications. And so he's the main contact if there's any day-to-day questions or whatnot on access, or if there's any special needs with, say, there's a delivery or something. He'll be the person to get with, and he goes out of his way to accommodate and try to minimize the impact of construction. And so I've got his card back there, but he'll be going business to business and meeting with everyone here in the upcoming weeks. So be on the lookout for him, and yeah, let us know. Communication on these projects is key. You know, let us know if there's something coming up or if there's a concern. The more we know, you know, there's a lot of times we can push and pull things and do our best to accommodate different things. The team's done a bunch of streetscapes together, so we have a pretty dialed in process, and look forward to having another successful project.
Anthony, I may have missed it. Can you specifically tell me when the streetscape between 5th and 6th starts and ends? Just the streetscape improvements.
That's a loaded question. So our plan is the road will close October 30th for the water line upgrades. The north side of the sidewalk, there's the new sidewalk that went in with your building, so that sidewalk stays, and so for all the construction, you'll have that access, and then the actual sidewalk construction will happen starting in January and then wrap up in March.
And just to let you know, those trees that are currently there, the Fifth City Forester is going to tag them and replant them, transplant them to, I can't remember what park. I think one out in Harris Ranch possibly. So those will be taken here within the next, like the first week of November. So they are tagging those. And then the trees that are on the back of the parking lot over here will be taken as well to get access for the job trailer to be put in and to reconfigure that access to those parking lots there. So, and that's all been cleared with Boise City Forestry.
So the hope is that first part of April, the road will be open and the sidewalks done on the north side from 5th to 6th. And then unfortunately with the legislature constraint, the intersection of 5th will be happening after that, but the road will be open and sort of back to normal that April timeframe, first part of April.
Can you go forward just a couple slides? Maybe, or 5.
The computer can do its own.
Awesome. So I just wanted to touch on, Anthony did a great job kind of teeing up construction communications, but just want to kind of share a little bit about what you all can expect from us as far as communications. I was also going to mention that GUHO has extensive experience working and navigating downtown construction projects. They are wonderful to work with, and they go above and beyond to ensure pedestrian accessibility, cycling accessibility, and making sure that access to businesses and front doors is as easy and clear as possible. So what can you expect? We're going to try and keep people moving, keep people able to access your businesses and their homes, and then of course inform and minimize the impact to commuters and the neighborhood. So we will be doing weekly construction updates. It's something we implemented with our projects on 11th Street and on the Linen Blocks. So if you, I'm sure you guys are already by default signed up since you're here, but you'll start receiving those weekly construction updates with pedestrian detours, cycling detours, and road closures, similar to what Anthony shared, but on a more detailed kind of week by week basis. And then we also put out physical project signage, so you might have noticed the construction coming soon signs, and then there will be a mailer hitting like a 4-block radius of the project area, hitting mailboxes in the next day or so. You can find the weekly construction updates on our website, so everything from the detour signs on site to the weekly emails to the project page, all that information gets updated weekly and is all like mirrored of each other. So you can always find progress reports and status updates that way. We know construction is challenging and a headache, and it goes without saying that there's gonna be some difficulties, but as Anthony mentioned, we want to be a partner and we want to hear from you, and if there are things that are negatively impacting or challenges that we can work together and collaborate on, like we have open phone lines, open inboxes, please reach out to us and we'll work together to try and find a solution. From my perspective as the communications manager, if you guys need resources to share with employees or customers or residents, I'm happy to create posters or signage you can hang in common areas, provide copy or images or visuals to include in newsletters or emails to your own stakeholders. Again, we just want to be a really good partner with you all throughout this project. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can go to the next one, Anthony. These are just some examples. As I mentioned, we'll have the QR code basically on everything, and that QR code will take you to the email sign up form to be able to sign up for those weekly construction updates. And then all project information is available at rebuildoldboiseblocks.com. So I think that's it from me. Yeah.
So the communication is real good on 11th Street, and I think we need those weekly updates that you were giving, for the CW4 building.
Oh.
And the tenants that are listed in there.
Yes.
For us.
Yeah.
We want me to meet. I got the notes for this project and this meeting.
Okay.
But we probably really need to expand on that and to let everybody know what's happening.
I couldn't agree more. What's really unique about this area is just the high level of residents and neighbors down here compared to some of the other projects we've been working on. And so, yeah, we want to be really mindful of neighbors and residents down here and make sure that they're getting all the construction information as well.
They use this QR code
to
get the weekly updates.
Yep, exactly. They just scan it with your phone like you're taking a picture, and then it'll take you to a sign up form that you can sign up for those weekly updates. Yeah.
Do you have to sign in to get the QR code?
Nope, it just takes you to a little bubble sheet, and you can, if you want to get 11th Street updates, that's an option, but you can just sign up for the Old Boise ones, put in an email address, and you'll automatically be opted in. Yeah.
In 2000, when the Vast Block neighborhood worked on the street redesign, ACHD was very concerned about drainage at that point, removing the curbs and that sort of thing. So the street was designed to drain both ways. And then a pork chop was added on the end, and that Jeff could speak to that if that has caused problems with drainage. And I don't know if the Vast Center could speak to this raised intersection and how that may have affected them when the rain came in. But just to be aware that on those flat streets, if that's modified, that the drainage does make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Ricardo?
Yeah, as part of the design process, ACHD required to do an analysis of the storm drain system and map the water and verify that there wasn't any flooding issues. So yes, that's all been taken into account in the design, and it's all been vetted and approved by the highway district.
Did the water come close to the gas center when it really rained hard?
Well, we had that really heavy thunderstorm, yeah, I mean, it's more than the drains can handle, but even a normal rain out there, for the gutters on this side on 6, it still does not dissipate as easily as it should. It still builds up there and stays there for quite a long time. So just a normal rainstorm, let alone that, big flood we had.
Yeah.
Yeah, same with you guys, yeah. The drainage has been modified, it's just not handling normal day-to-day activities anymore.
Okay. Show me that later, Ed.
Is it original?
Prior to the remodel, yes. So when they did that raised section up there and moved the drains around the side, there's just too much buildup on both ends.
Okay.
So as part of
And
this project,
we've blown out the gutters and made sure that the drain pipes are clean, everything like that. It's still, there's more rain going down the one drain spout, if I can use that term, than it can handle. Because there used to be multiple accesses into this water, now there's just the one, and just more water than we need.
so on this project, we have multiple catch basins down the block. So there's not just one on the corner. We have at least 3 per block base. So we've taken all that into account.
Okay, and I understand that on the street, but what about the intersection itself, where you've got 4 roads coming together? That's gonna have more water in that intersection area than it is along the length of the street. So what's gonna be done there at the intersection area to take care of that water?
So because it's a raised intersection, there on the numbered street, there's a catch basin that takes that water. So it won't even make it onto Grove Street. It's captured before it hits.
Okay, so maybe I'm not explaining myself. We were to go out there now with the raised section. The water's gonna run off the raised section to the side, but there's not enough of those basins to catch that water, and it just fills up and floods even that raised area of the street. And we're talking normal rain, not that heavy duty, thunderstorm from hell we had earlier in the year.
Yeah, so you're saying that there's currently 1 catch basin. And
Yeah,
it's
that's not enough.
Yes. We ran the calculations and the design takes all that into account. And with the catch basins we currently have in this design, it'll handle the stormwater.
Okay, I hear you, but I'm just saying, if your calculations did that, whatever they calculated for here isn't working.
I did not design that.
No, I'm not saying you did. That's just an input to your calculation process, that whatever calculations were used at that intersection, real world calculations were this far apart.
Okay.
There was no,
I think we have a redundant system going in on a Grove. And so like Carl was talking about the Silva cells, so a normal storm event, 90% of them go into the Silva cells, but then there's also a secondary drain that goes to the ACHD system. And so in those big storm events, you have a second drain. I don't think that's the case on 6th Street. And so,
And with rebuilding what we're building here and tying into this new intersection, that's all been designed together as one project.
okay, all right. But that turned into a swimming pool, we'll be talking. And then one question also, I know it's probably centric to the Bass Center, but when we redid the Bass block about 20 years ago, we had painted concrete out there. I heard you say you're gonna have some possible painted concrete in the new sections. I'd hate to have really bright colors there and 20-year-old faded colors here.
Yeah, with the street, with the back block, it's very unique with the green and the red. We are not using colored concrete as far as a pigmented, bright green or red. We are using more of a charcoal color versus a regular gray concrete. So it's just the black and white that we're using on the remainder. We wanted to remain the back block to be very unique too. So.
Thank you.
so it'll be the same colors as the 6th and Grove intersection.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, I think that's all that we had actually scheduled for. So you guys are free to. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
So on the canal part, the putting in pipe and that, is that basically gonna be from Fifth Street down to Third Street?
Yes.
So it goes, we tie in on the east side of 3rd Street and we run a pipe up to just short of 4th Street. And then there's 130 some feet of concrete structure underneath 4th. And then there's 100 and some odd feet of pipe once we get past 4th up to the water wheel, and then it ties back into the water wheel is what goes on with the canal. And it's the canal structure is moving 12 feet roughly to the north from where its current alignment is.
Under the sidewalk.
Because from Fifth Street down this way, that's all already been replaced.
Correct.
Correct?
Yeah.
That was replaced back in mid-2000.
Oh, free.
Yeah.
So we're just replacing the crossing at 5th Street from the west side, and then it ties back into the water wheel.
So on the, concerning the canal and the road between 4th and 3rd, where is the canal's construction, is that going to be on the property on the north, or, excuse me, yeah, on the north? Or is that going to be in the road? Where's the canal at? I kind of forgot.
Currently, the canal is right underneath the curb line, and then it's moving to the north, closer to the north side of the right of way. But the canal stays in the right of way.
Okay. So I have property on the other side. I was just wondering the connection, how my peoples will enter, how it will be, they will be affected.
We'll have this local access on the south side of Grove when the canal work's going on. So they'll be able to come in on 3rd and then pull into the parking lots or the different access points and then pull out and stay on the south side just for local traffic.
So will parking be restricted on the south side of the 3rd Street?
Yes. And we're working with the city of Boise on getting the resident spots relocated
Yes.
to 3rd.
Yeah. So we're working with parking services, and so for the moment in time where we're working on those residential spots on the south side between 3rd and 4th, they'll move them up on 3rd to the east side. So it just gets relocated while that work's going on, then they come back.
So will there be parking on both sides when you're all done?
Yes.
The residential will stay on the south side between 3rd and 4th.
And what's going to be on the north side?
North side will be metered park.
Metered park.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you all are free to go, or if you have more specific questions, come on up and we'll be happy to